Hello and welcome! We've all seen those headlines, right? The ones that just shake our sense of community and make us wonder what's going on in the world. Well, today, we're going to follow a really surprising thread that connects those difficult headlines all the way to the chemistry inside our own brains. It's a fascinating link between our memories, our ability to be kind, and maybe even the food on our plate.
So we have to start with something tough. We've all been seeing these events happening in Taiwan and all around the world that just leave entire communities in shock. And these acts don't just cause physical harm. They really shatter the trust we have in each other, that invisible glue that holds our society together. So when psychologists try to understand the mindset behind many of these acts, they often find this one common thread, a trait called antisocial personality. And right at its core is this profound lack of empathy. It's not just about not caring, it's a fundamental inability to connect with or even feel the pain that other people are going through. But, as troubling as all this is, science has a way of finding clues in the most unexpected places. And in this case, a really interesting pattern in the data gives researchers a fascinating starting point for understanding where empathy might come from, biologically speaking. And here is the big question that really kicked off a whole line of research. See, studies from all over the world consistently show that a diagnosis of antisocial personality is way more common in men than in women. Now, this isn't a judgment call, it's a statistical clue. And it got scientists thinking, wait a minute, could women have some kind of biological protective factor going on? And when you look at the chart, the difference is just so clear, isn't it? This huge gap is what really grabbed researchers' attention. It made it pretty obvious that they needed to look for biological differences, and their investigation pretty quickly turned to the role of hormones.
And two main candidates popped up. On one side, you've got estrogen, which we know can help stabilize mood and reduce aggression. But the hormone that really takes center stage in our story today is oxytocin. You've probably heard of it. It's often called the social hormone, or even the love hormone, because of its incredible role in building trust, intimacy, and social bonds.
So let's follow that oxytocin trail right into the brain. We're going to see exactly how this one little molecule can have such a huge impact on our ability to connect with each other.
The source material just puts it perfectly here. The power of oxytocin isn't just about some fuzzy, warm feeling that comes and goes. Its real magic is in how it boosts our social memory. It helps our brain record, store, and then later recall the emotional states of other people, which, when you think about it, is the absolute foundation of empathy.
And this four-step process is absolutely key. So oxytocin goes to a very specific spot in the hippocampus. That's our brain's memory center. And there, it amps up something called synaptic plasticity. Basically, that's the ability of our brain cells to strengthen their connections. You can think of it like paving a dirt path and turning it into a superhighway. It just makes it way easier to access that information again. And the result? A stronger, much more reliable social memory.
Okay, so this brings us to a really cool idea. If oxytocin boosts empathy by specifically making our social memory stronger, could other things that just strengthen memory in general have a similar positive effect on our kindness and social skills?
Well, it turns out our brain has a whole toolkit of chemicals that are vital for learning and memory. You've got acetylcholine, dopamine, serotonin, BDNF, and glutamate. They all help out with that exact same process of synaptic plasticity. Now, while we don't have direct proof that they boost empathy in the same way oxytocin does, they're all working on the same fundamental brain machinery. The connection that starts to take shape here is just too interesting to ignore. It really seems like our brain's ability to learn, to remember, and to adapt is fundamentally tangled up with our ability to be kind, understanding, and empathetic people. So, what are we supposed to do with all this amazing brain science? Well, this is the best part. The sources suggest the answer might not be in some high-tech lab or a pharmacy. It might actually be waiting for us right on our dinner table.
So how can we possibly support these 5 key neurochemicals? The answer, believe it or not, could be in simple, everyday foods.
This table is basically your cheat sheet. It shows how common foods have the building blocks for these super important brain chemicals. You've got foods for acetylcholine, dopamine, serotonin. The idea isn't that you're eating the chemical itself, but you're giving your body the raw materials it needs to create them and to support your brain's amazing memory function.
Now, of course, we've got to be realistic, and the sources are really clear about this. This isn't about finding some magic diet that cures a complex personality trait, but it is about recognizing that we can take small, active steps to support our brain's health. And by feeding the very systems that support memory and emotion, we might just be planting the seeds for a more empathetic mind.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. We started with these deep social wounds, we journeyed through brain science, and we ended up right back at our own kitchen table. What if every meal is a chance, not just to feed our bodies, but to consciously feed the very chemistry that lets us connect, understand, and care for one another? Maybe the simple act of choosing what's on our plate is also a choice, to add just a little more gentleness back into the world.